This is going to be fun. So make sure you're in a demo account. That says demo up here. And now we're going to go into some practicing. So we got our money. Now let's practice to get better. So one of the things that is a common occurrence is that, and I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. But the common occurrence is like just case in point right here, where Cool had all these buy layers on here. And I said to get out, he got out. I don't think it was that bad of a move, but I wouldn't have gotten out because of this. That was the first. He got out on the second attempt. I would have waited for that third attempt. And then he got out because I said, if it touches this, get out. And then I forgot to add but if the attempt is going on, right? And so I've seen that a lot because people are just like, I'm going to do exactly what you say. And then I'm trying to, then the information changes and really quick, like information can change really quick. So how do we read and react is kind of what I need everybody to be able to do. So read and react. I'd love to get to the point, Cool, and everybody else, to where you are starting to identify that the information has changed. And then you ask me, well, now that this happened, should I still get out here? Does that make sense? And so you're spotting the change of information, right? So on this next challenge, and it could change depending on the news. Actually, let's do that. So let's kind of set ourselves up for an opportunity to trade the news, because it's coming up in 9 minutes. So I don't know how big it's going to be, but how would you guys trade a news event right now? Like, market, you're sitting here, the market's open. What are you thinking? You guys tell me what you're thinking on, just throw out some stuff like.
I'm thinking of a pending sell and maybe
Who's thinking, okay, let's do this in the chat and everybody. Who's thinking the market's going to go up on the news event? Who's thinking it's going to go down?
I think it's going to go up. Oh, in the chat. Wait.
Well, either way, you guys can tell me too.
All I know is whatever I say, it's going to do the opposite. So
okay, so what does Andrew say?
Tell me what you're going to say.
I'm going to say it's going to keep going down. So get ready for some buys.
All right. So we got a lot of, it's new home sales, and then you have Canada influence as well, right? I don't know how much it's going to be, but it's still news. All right. So we got a lot of wait and sees, pending buys, pending sells. We got sells. That's kind of what the general consensus is. For me, I'm thinking it kind of depends on where the market goes pre-news a little bit. So if it runs higher pre-news and the news tries to pull back sometimes, so like I'm saying, like here we've got this run up a little bit. We could see it kind of pull back. If it fails, if it does do this, goes below this dollar point and fails to have any continuation, then you're probably going to get it to continue to the top side. If it goes up, fails to get continuation, then it could pull back to the other side. Now, I'm not saying we're going to get like non-farm payroll news. It'll probably, if it's on the downside, it'll probably stop here at 100% retracement off of this move. And if it's to the upside, it could break and it could be a catalyst for something larger for a run up. So, and notice I use the word could, right? So, and again, I asked the question and everybody's like, right? So let's
I got an idea, or at least the expectation is that they're going to go up 0.75%, but they could do a full percent. So as soon as it pops, you'll know whether it's above expectations or not.
Got it.
Yeah.
So that's the analytic approach, and that's what I'm going to say. I'm pretty shocked. I was going to be pretty shocked that if nobody actually went to read what the report actually is, because that's the analytics, and a lot of people and a lot of traders are analytical, right? And so they want to see what the information is before they place a trade. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. And it gives you a good idea, or it gives you all the information that you can get to support the decision you're making is really good, right? So for this, because we're in a demo account and I want you guys to play with this, and we got 5 minutes. Let's do this. Let me teach you guys how to put a pending sell on, and let's put a pending sell right here. So yeah, cool. No side to it. So cool. You go to trading, okay. And you go to put a sell stop. Yeah. All right. So now we have that sell stop on.
How many can you put at a time?
As many as you want, but now we have that sell stop on. We're also going to put a buy stop on above this breakout right here.
So I can do it on a 5 minute chart?
Yeah, put it on the 5 minute chart. Nope, too high. Bring it down to right in that area. No, still too high. Gotta bring it down to here.
Oh, bring it.
Buys down to here.
Oh, yeah.
And move these sell stops down to where it has to break the body of that candle in order to trigger. You don't want it to just barely touch. You want it down in here.
You want it down or high?
Down. I want it below the candles. I don't want it just to come down, barely touch, and then go the other way.
Okay.
If it's gonna, I want it even more. Put it underneath that this purple line right there. I want to get a break, and I want these buys higher than these bodies. So move your buys up about 2 pips-ish. Move your buy stops up. So this is very important. Never, ever, ever put them in the bodies of candles. You need them above the body. You need it to be like, okay, if it breaks, I want it to get in, not if it touches. So I'd still move it higher, a little higher, and probably move it about right there. So this is important principle. Like, I only want in if it does in fact break. If it breaks, I don't want it to come up, touch, and reverse on me. So now that we have 2, this is what could happen. You guys need to be cognizant of this. It could spike down and not cross this line. This is where you need to hit the X on your sell. So you guys need to be ready to get out of your cells. If it stalls here, get out of your cells. Anytime you see this stall, get out of your cells, right? And then I want you guys to fade that candle for buys. So you're out of your cells, get into your buys, right? Same thing. So this is a quick action moment. Same thing on the buys. Pops up, stalls, get out, flip into some cells, and take that ride down, right? So this is what we're practicing and seeing you guys can execute correctly. So the winner of this challenge is somebody who can come out of pending buys, pending sells, and become profitable by, let's see if we can pick up 0.5%. Okay. So that's the challenge. Off this news event, being profitable by 0.5%. Now you just got into those cells and it wasn't breakout, but because it's headed down, it's probably going to shoot up. in one.
Can I butt in a second?
So Julio, if you so you kind of have those a little bit. I would have moved those before the news.
See, I called it. I said it's probably going to keep going down, which means it will go up.
Well, if this, it needs to have some legs, right? So if it doesn't have any legs, it could turn around. And so you don't want to be chasing the market like what Cool just did. I never put into buys as you're getting an expansion candle until it stops. Now that's where I put sells on. Let's see, we get that break. And see, that's why. Well, I'll stop. I'm gonna let you guys trade. See if you can trade through this whole news event. Then I'll come back and come.
Is it sometimes easier to do this on the US CAD chart if it's Canadian news?
Probably.
Yeah, we can do it here too, I'm sure, but
Yeah. You would have more movement for sure in the CAD. So I'm going to come back and critique this, but I'm not going to tell you what to do. Does that make sense? Cool.
That's fine.
Or how to do it.
yeah. CAD chart is going up.
Yeah. I'd imagine.
Like, oh wow, yeah. 74 pips so far.
What's the spread on
Oh, Joe. 2 pips.
it? That's not bad for that kind of a move.
Yeah.
Please, your process. Do you have a problem? We working at me.
They only did half a point. That's why.
Anybody hit the challenge yet? Silence. Right. If your silence is a no.
Could you say what was your question again, David?
Anybody hit the challenge yet? Yeah, 0.5%.
No, the money I made was on the retracement, but I lost on it hitting the sell as well as Cool did.
Gotcha. So this news event for the euro was nothing, right? Or did nothing to change any direction. It just came down, and you can say that this is where it's being consolidated. So now you're kind of, if it's going to consolidate here, what a great opportunity to pick up a lot of profit if it's going to consolidate that area. 5 to 10 pip price cycles. So I'm going to ask Cool, did you learn anything?
I learned, I think, some stuff before all this. I guess I was trying to be reactionary when we did the what do you call those trades up and below?
Pending orders.
Pending orders.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to tell you right now what you're not doing is you're not looking to fix these cells.
Guys, sorry, I'm going to have to leave. I need to attend to an emergency.
Okay.
Oh gosh, hope everything okay, Pat.
Yeah, me too. Hope everything's good. So you need it. So the first thing you should be doing right now is looking for ways to fix yourselves. Now, how are you going to? So that should be the number one thing on your mind. How do I fix these cells? So I'm going to ask you the question: how are you going to fix those cells?
That's a good question. That's the skill that I need to get better at. How I fix it is by what do you call it? Reusing or recycling the ones up here.
Yeah. So I'm putting you on the spot just a little bit because this is a demo account. So I'm not coming in and trying to show you. I'm trying to get you to, for this purpose is the purpose of trying to get you to think, analyze, and practice. That makes sense. So what does the market look like it's doing right now? If you were to analyze the market, what does it look like?
It's still on an upside.
Sure. And where's it going to go?
It'll probably go. Right now it hasn't even. Well, it could have almost come test this high up here.
Yeah.
But
good. Anybody else complete the challenge?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, no, I sorry, I was saying good to you, but I forgot to say your name. So good. I saw that made 55.58. All right. So because your lack of confidence in your voice, cool.
yeah.
I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you out a little bit. All right. So when we get ourselves in a situation where we got a couple trades that are just kicking our butt, and we think that the market is going to have a continuation, right? And maybe even test this or even this. First thing that I do is I measure what is that distance and can I withstand a run holding on to these trades if it does, in fact, go up there. And that's 5 pip run or a 10 pip run. I do not want to withstand a 10 pip run on those cells. Does that make sense?
Mm.
So then if I don't want to withstand a 10 pip run, make these cells even worse, then I'm looking to get out. The question is what determines if you can withstand it? The size and the dollar amount where you're at, right? So if where you're at right now if you're losing 16 pips right now, and it runs up, and from where price is at right now, it could run up another 14. That means it could virtually double your loss, right? I don't really want to just withstand a double loss from where I'm at right now because it's going to be hard to make that up. So so there's two things that you could do and you could execute on these losses in order to fix them. The first thing is you could just hit that ejection button, which is painful, right?
Which is probably usually the one I'm pretty good at, because I get to a point it's like that's too much. I'd rather start over.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I would identify where that is going to happen. Does that make sense? Identify where that's going to happen. And in my mind, if a body closes higher than that's where I would get out, right? Because you're going to move another leg higher. However, if you get a close here of the body or a close here of the body, this is where I would like to get out.
Get out. Gotcha.
Right? Because you kind of see that it did move down 50% of that candle and touched, and then it kind of came back the other way. So the chances of it coming back down is not as good as it moving higher. Would you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing you don't have going for you right this second is you do not have any profit trades on. And so you need to get profit trades on. I think a lot of times as traders, we get stuck in trading and we're like, I'm afraid to trade right now because of these trades are just kicking my butt. Well, we need to find profit in order to cushion the loss. Does that make sense?
Mm.
So if you think it's going to move higher, where's your profit trades?
Well, I can go ahead and start buying here up to here, just
Right.
wobbling nickel and dime myself out of these things.
Exactly.
Until the body closes higher and then just get out.
And I'd also want to be in buys in case it does cross the top and it moves up higher. Because if it does cross the top, moves up higher, comes back, I've already made the determination I'm going to get out of my sells, but I've made more. I have some money here if it does that. Does that make sense?
Sure.
On my buys. Worst thing that we could do as traders is just sit and watch them get worse.
Yeah, my default typically when I do that, it's just I get out and then it takes me a lot longer to try to recover because of that. But I do see where you're coming from. Try to mitigate your losses by you're not going to be able to get down to zero, but perhaps. All right.
Anybody else hit the goal? Crickets.
No.
All right, Pops, you're going to have to do a video this time with better audio than last time.
Okay.
So like I said, when you talk, your headset just kind of cuts you out for some reason.
Okay, will do.
And you're going to have to explain how you accomplish this challenge of 0.5% in a news event. Basically, I'd also like your time frame too. So how long did it take you to make that 0.5%? That makes sense?
Yeah.
Ooh, Nick's close. Pete's close. Ed, good job. Josh, negative 0.5%, right? Yes, now it's recover time. Now you gotta come back about a full percent. All right, so okay, so you got buys. I would have rather been buying here, but I think we were still conversational talking because they can't talk.
Conversing.
Conversing.
I got you.
Okay, so you did peel off. When did you peel off?
Just
So why did you peel off of those buys? That's the bigger question.
no, not the buys. I had to stop, take profit.
Why do you have a take profit? Why did you? No, I'm just curious. Why do you have a take profit? Just curious.
I think I was setting it for this so that way I can take when I was sputtering back and forth, and so I thought I don't know. I know I'm not quick. I'm not quick on the trigger as opposed to take the profit while I have it.
Sure. I mean, take profits are awesome when you get this little spike up, right? Get you out, but you should have gotten out on the stall anyways, right? Right there. I think using a take profit, there's pros and cons to using a take profit, and it really depends on where you're at in your psychology of trading. So if you're in the psychology of trading where if you do exactly what you just did, cool, and again, don't want to turn this into I'm picking on cool, but a lot of traders will do exactly that. I have a take profit on and I just moved it up to here. Why did I move it up to there? Well, because I want more profit. And so to me, that's a greed play. Does that make sense? But the reality is we should have taken our profit on the stall here instead of worrying about moving the take profit away. You missed the opportunity to get out of your trade, right? And anytime we move our take profits, it is directly related to the word greed, right? And so we also, as a psychology of trading, we also want to be correct. And so if it hits our take profits, it feeds our personalities if we need to be correct, right? And so in that way, I think take profits are kind of damaging a little bit from a psychological standpoint. However, if you don't view that and you don't touch your take profits and you trade like Sean always trades with the take profit, and he looks for those 2 to 3 pip moves and he gets them, and then he just recycles his trades. All he does is recycles his trades, and then he's just getting them on the wick. You can get them on a wick, you can get them on a wick, and a pullback, and he's hitting those take profits. That's an appropriate time to utilize those take profits, right? If you're in a price cycle and you're seeing 3 pips on the price cycle or greater than 3 pips, and you really got to be a precision, then those take profits definitely come in handy. But there's a whole art to where you're placing those take profits, where you have them, all that kind of stuff. And so for me, I don't like trading with take profits, as you guys can see, but I still like taking my profit. I love taking the profit because I'm in control. And if I do get a breakout, I'm able to capitalize on it. Or if I get a lucky spike in the market, I'm able to capitalize on it as opposed to hitting the take profits. So that's me, but I'm not going to be blaming anybody if they use take profits, but I am going to ask the question, why are you using a take profit?
So I guess with that very thing is that when I did it, especially last night, because it was moving pretty fast, I guess I want to secure, I had like a 10 pip take profit and hit it. And so I felt, I hit it came, and then it retraced. I went back in there, and then it was sputtering. I was able to manually take it. But I guess the take profit for me is to secure it, so that way I bank it. And then and I still have the option to manually still take the profit if I want, but at least I can secure that because it moves too fast for me, at least.
Yeah, sometimes it does as well. For me, I tend to only use a take profit and a stop loss. Like I tighten my stops and I tighten my take profits if I'm walking away from the trade. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So,
I'm up on Alvio.
That's good. You're also up in your live account too. So
I am.
So now we just got to fix this. You don't have, you need to fix those trades, those bad trades. And so what I would do in this case, first of all, I would update my protege so I know what my actual today numbers are, right? kind of see. But if you don't know, then you need to go over to your account history and you need to figure out what you need to do in order to fix how much money did you lose, how much profit have you actually made, all that kind of stuff, right? The other thing is you reduced your position size. So this buy is not doing you any good. So I'd go ahead and just peel that buy off. It is not doing you any good right now. Yeah, exactly. Right. That's not doing you any good in this account size and also trying to make up your losses.
So is a half a good size? Because I was playing with that.
No. In this account size, you should probably be at like a quarter.
A quarter? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was, let me see.
You were in halves and that's when you lost it. You lost 2 trades at a half a lot each. So, right. So you're a full lot down.
Okay.
Right. But that was okay. That was okay when you were placing your pending orders because you only had like 1 or 2. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, that was like a full layer that you're putting on the top and a full layer you're putting on the bottom. So what are you looking at right now?
I'm looking at still the pressure is up on the 5 minute, and I think you're right. It may go test that high up there. That's about 5 pips away, and so I'm just going to try to play this retracement here, because I think the pressure is still on the upside.
I'm going to ask a quick question. Why did you decide to buy where you decided to buy?
I meant to buy down here, but
well, then do it.
I know.
That's the advantage of having layers, right?
Yeah.
But now, if you guys ever do that, which everybody does, and you're like, oh man, these positions are not great, then that's when you need to recycle them and put them down here. Now, when I say recycle, that doesn't mean that crawls out of them and put them on here. That means if it pops up and fails to cross this, then you have the opportunity to close out everything and start over or to close out of these losses. Because if it does pop up to here, now you have the opportunity to make a decision. I'm above break even, or you could get out at break even, but there's no need really. If it comes up and doesn't cross this on the first attempt, that's a good place to recycle. Do you see that? Cool.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure you would rather have this trade here. Would you agree with that statement?
Mm.
All right. So now you have to read the information. The information in the market just shifted. What is it telling you now?
If the body closes below this area here, it may have an opportunity to run down for about 6, maybe even 18 pips.
So how do you capitalize on that?
So I'm going to wait until probably the last.
If it crosses here for the body, how do you capitalize on this move?
I'll go ahead and sell, put in a couple sells.
So if you're trying to fix your trades, you need to have cells that are equal to or greater than this layer. So if you're trying to fix it in the opposite direction, you need to have them that are equal to or greater than that layer, because it's kind of like a hedge situation. But if you're not equal to or greater than, then you're still losing money on these buys and you're not giving yourself an opportunity.
Do you increase your lot size or just put them similar amount of trades?
I usually just put similar amount of trades because it's faster than messing with the lot size change, but I don't stack them all in one place, right? I would try to wait for a move, a pullback, this candle to go green, then I'd stack in. But now you're equal to or greater, or you're equal to your position. So now where are your action points on your cells?
Really? Here, and then about here and here.
Mm-hmm. But you're also in a precarious situation too as well, where it's ran all the way down. And
so there's that price cycle.
Right. And so you're at the end of a price cycle where it did break, but then that doesn't mean that you jump in heavy. I would have waited for a little bit of a pullback, a little bit of a pullback to touch the top of that. And then it would have gotten back in, right? And see so now what you position yourself in a situation where you got one price cycle here and you're hoping for another price cycle to touch the bottom, right? So right there would have been a place to start stacking into cells. Do you see that? Because you got to kind of expect that happens, where if it breaks through, it's going to come back up and test. And if it fails that test, then it's going to come up here and test that.
Yeah, I need to see that a little bit more.
Right. And so to me, this is the chasing the market a little bit. Like you just got to wait and hold on. So, which is fine. If it fails to get above that right there, you usually it opens the door for the downward pressure.
So we start peeling off the stuff on the loser ones?
Well, that's your discretion. So
what would you do?
If you're I like that, Cole. if you're in this trend that's a trend higher, the probability of it coming up on your buys is greater than it coming down and fixing your sells. Does that make sense?
You said
so,
that again?
You have to determine is the probability of these, is the probability of these cells greater than or less than 50% that I make profit on.
Okay.
The moment that you decide that it's less than 50%, that's when you start killing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what I was talking about, if the trend is up and the market is having an easier time going up than it's going down, then I would say that these buys, even though they're not in the best position possible, these buys still are greater than 50% that you could come and test that top. Does that make sense?
Okay. So this is the skill that I've got to get better at, because I think I know what you're saying, but I don't know what you're saying.
And Nick pointed out another problem that you're having as well.
What is it?
This says a half and this is a quarter. So depending on where you're placing your buys and sells, you're getting in various different position sizes. And so you always want to make sure that you're trading the same, right? Layers, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So the reason why I also cut my layers down and start smaller, like trading with a 0.10, is just because if I get in a situation like this where I'm in both buys and shorts, and I need to fix my trades, I still have trades that I can place, and let's say I want to fix my sells, right here, and I want to make some money if it comes back down and tests. Well, as soon as I get confirmation, which is, that it's going to move back down, I can put some more cells on right here for the ride down to here, and then possibly get out all of my cells. Now, if I don't get that confirmation, then it's probably going to ride back up, but I don't see that happening. So still didn't get that confirmation yet, though. Cool. So a little early on the entry is all I'm saying. So a little early on the entry because you didn't get that confirmation. But there, if this holds, this is your confirmation candle. I'm going to go back and answer. Somebody posted a question yesterday. The question was asked in Discord. And he says that I need to fix one aspect of my trading. I'm looking to see if you have any suggestions. I appear to be a contrarian trader. So am I. The instinct when I see a candle run is to fade and then continue to trade the run, usually on the wrong side. I was taken at loss this morning, and any suggestion, or yesterday morning, any suggestions on ways to fix my perception. I get out of winning trades for some reason, and when I see the market running, I feel like it's going to turn. And of course, after the fact, hindsight, I can see my error. Any thoughts would be great. Thanks. Any thoughts to that before I add my thoughts? So if you're a contrarian trader, meaning that if you see an expansion move and your first thought is to fade it, you're a contrarian trader, and I do that too, right? So, and then you peel off your wins because you're thinking at any moment the market's going to shift. What are some things? What are some things that you guys have done to fix that, or are you willing to raise your hand and say, I'm in the same boat? Give me some thoughts. Give me some suggestions. Joseph said, is reacting too fast, not letting your trades mature enough. Yes, those are, Joseph, what you're saying is true, but that's the more psychology. So what I'm looking for is maybe something that's like an if this, then that type situation, right? So maybe some triggers that help you to identify when to hold, when to fold. Okay, so not really watching, understanding where the market may really turn. Those are that's a good thought. An abnormal early candle. Yeah. I'll let you guys add more to that. I am going to let my dog out really quick.
Let the dogs out.
All right, let's see what you guys put here. Not understanding the power, support, and resistance. Breaking candle fade 50%. All right, so the answers that you guys are giving me, I can say yes and no to almost all of them, right? I like the support and resistance, but there's always an exception, right? But let's pause this conversation because I want to jump back to cool real quick. I'm curious as to why you thought buy right here. Again, I'm only picking on you because this is a demo account and I'm trying to get you to see things. Does that make sense? Cool.
Yeah.
So why did you decide to buy right there?
So I thought because I guess I don't know.
Am I breaking your confidence? Cool. Am I breaking you down too much? I'm sorry.
No. This is good. This is good. I mean.
So the reason why I'm asking the question is because what I saw was a turning point, right? And usually when you get a turning point, it usually will break past this. And so if I wasn't into anything right here, or any of these buys, I would have waited to see if it was going to break. But because it failed to break this, I probably would have gotten into some sells for a ride back down to test this, right? But once I started to see that turn, I would have waited to see if it broke. Does that make sense? But you bought, in my mind, this is what you were thinking. Correct me if I'm wrong. Well, here's an action point coming down here. It's probably going to bounce off of this and continue to go up, right? That would be good if it didn't have this action of a rounding, of like a rounding situation, right? If it came down and did this and did that, then that's a better bounce point than a kind of a rounding the corner.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
Because usually it means that it's going to come down fairly quickly as opposed to doing this consolidation situation. Now that's just something that comes with just seeing the market for a while. Now the same thing here, right? It came down because it passed the 50% of this candle. It's probably going to come down and touch the bottom of that if you're just that large candle, right? So the chances of it coming all the way back down is greater than getting a bounce and going all the way back up. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So I just wanted to point that out because I saw that what you were doing basically, and I wanted to use that as a teaching moment. So here, now going back to the other question, understanding support and resistance, right? So here is where you get that completion of that retracement of the larger candle, which on the 5-minute chart kind of correlates as well on the 5-minute chart. And that's actually a good support area. Now that doesn't mean that, it's going to bounce. It just is a good possible place to bounce. And this is where I'd want to build into a buy layer. But going back to the conversation of yesterday, when we just had a market that was just trending in an up direction. Okay. A lot of times nobody's going to know. Like I didn't know, nobody knew how far a market's going to move, right? When we get into moves like that, when it moves, greater than 30 pips, anytime it moves greater than 30 pips, that's not correlated to a news event. Nobody knows, right? You don't know it's going to do that. You don't have a guess. And so that's why I kind of stick to that rule of if this, then that. If I'm in a breakout situation and it's breaking out, my rule is to ride that all the way up and you get candles going up until the next candle on the downside breaks below the subsequent candle. That's when I get out, right? Because that is a good turning point. And generally when you're in a run, generally you don't know where the next support and resistance is on a chart that you could be looking at. So you'd have to expand your view to a 15, 30, even the hour to look for where the next support and resistance area is. And so just kind of my general rule of thumb is that when the body breaks below here, that's a good indication of where it could possibly turn. And that's where I would get out. And so that's kind of my rule of how to hold on to my winners is I wait for that. Now, if I want to try to get a little bit more aggressive, like what I did yesterday was I just saw the market running. And sometimes you do get this little bit of a spike down and then a continuation of a run up. The other thing that I do is I just start moving my stop losses to that next support line right under it, right? Because we learned the power of proper placement of putting your stops under that support line. So it has to cross in order to get it out. And if it comes down and bounces and continues, then you're still riding that trend. And so if you approach letting my winners run with those attitudes, then it kind of destroys the contrarian attitude in us that says we should fade this expansion move, right? We should fade that expansion move. The only time that I'm really fading an expansion is usually on one candle. And so when I get an abnormal candle that just pops up out of nowhere, I usually fade that for about a 50% retracement. Most of the time you get that, and it's a high probability trade. Unless this happens, and I look at this now where you get that expansion move and the closes right here. So the candle closes here. The body of the candle closes before you get that fade. So I'll still put trades on, but I'll put a lighter layer on, because normally if it closes right here, the next move is going to be higher, right? So if you do not get a wick on that candle, so no wick, that generally indicates that the next candle is going to move higher. I'll still fade it because the action happens so fast that my normal tendency is on the candle that pops up, I'm still putting a layer on, but I'm not smacking the heck out of that button unless I start seeing it wick. If I don't see a wick, I hold and I say, okay, we could get another one. And then same thing. If I see a wick on the next candle, I'll fade that. Usually that candle will come down to the top of that candle and I'll get out of these trades. I'll hold these trades still to see if we get any continuation of the entire move of a 50% move. And maybe that was talking a lot and not explaining. I don't know if you guys understand it.
It's hard to trade and listen and understand and learn at the same time.
Oh, welcome to my club.
I got an appointment I got to run to, Dave.
You're fine. I think
I'm gonna have to try to fix these.
I think you're fine now because you kind of see the same thing. It rounded here, now it's rounding here.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think you're fine as long as this body holds. And if it doesn't, it still could come down and touch that. I don't see it breaking that. But if this body fails to break above that, then it could test the bottom. And if it tests the bottom, it most likely will come down to there. So these trades will be good if that candle holds above that, right? It doesn't have to be this candle. If this candle says, I'm not making the decision, it could be this candle that says that. Either way, you need a body break above that. And if a body breaks below that, then it's coming down to here. That's kind of where I'm trying to get you, to start looking at the market. If the body breaks this, where's it likely to go? And then trade the direction after the confirmation. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. So it looks like you do get that. If it stalls up here, you could get out of your profits and then you can just recycle those, which you probably would do. And if it pulls back down to here, I'd probably buy some more. So anyways, if you got bounce, you got bounce.
Yeah. If you look at Slack, what Kulesa has, I don't know if it's too late. He wanted the text of the book if possible.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, guys.
All right.
Take care.
Thanks, guys. I think we'll go ahead and call it there too. So Anybody that did the challenge, I'd appreciate you guys. Anybody that completed the challenge, I'd appreciate you guys showing how you did it, because today we had fewer people hit that. So I appreciate it if you guys did. So making 0.5% on that news event was the challenge today. So, all right. Thanks, guys. And we will see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Bye.